What's up, Cardfighters? Ryan here from Vanguard Central, bringing you guys a brand new Angel Feather Stride deck profile. We actually just got our hands on the latest set, Soul Strike Against the Supreme, GBT04. It just came out today. We were lucky enough to get our hands on a few boxes, so we went ahead and made a few decks for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started with our grade 3s. We got 4 copies of Black Shiver Gabriel. Gabriel is a really good card, considering that she is the main Stride Break card for Genesis. I mean, sorry, not Genesis. I just did a deck profile. Angel Feather, the main Stride Break for Angel Feather, and it's her Generation Break that makes the deck really good, considering the fact that every time you take a damage, your whole front row gets plus 2k. So your front row gets pretty beefed up as long as you have Generation Break 2 open. And it gets kind of like a cross ride, because it gets plus 2k, it'll sit at 13, take another damage, it'll be at 15k. It gets pretty hard to guard against these. And especially you can go for a lot of plays of making the Vanguard even higher during your turn. So it's not really just during your opponent's turn. And this other ability is pretty helpful, getting you cards from the damage zone into your field without having to lose cards from your hand, besides the ones that you use to stride off with. And next we got 4 copies of Holy Edge Celestial Malkadale. Malkadale is our Legion for the deck, and it's really good because not only the fact that you can recycle triggers, is the fact that she is she's a generic Legion. And getting beefed up is pretty easy for Malkadale because she only needs a face-up copy of her or the mate as long as it's in Legion, and swings for 31k unboosted. Really good. Moving on to our grade 2, we got 4 copies of Nurse of Broken Heart. Broken Heart, not Joel Knight Ashley, unfortunately. Just another Broken Heart. Too many Broken Hearts, guys. We gotta fix these ladies. So it's Generation Break 1. When you take a damage, your Vanguard and this card gets plus 2k. So really good when you have Generation Break open and she's on the field, because your Vanguard is going to get some cross-ride power as well as herself. And then you can also combo a lot of stuff with during your turn, because you would also be, swapping cards from your damage zone and taking cards in and taking cards out. And we got 3 copies of Black Slice Harut. Harut is the Amber clone for Genesis. I keep saying Genesis. The Amber clone for Angel Feather. And so it kind of gives you that 4th attack, considering you can check top 2 cards and choose a face-up card from your damage zone. Add that to the field. And it gets plus 2k also, so it's a little stronger. Oh, just kidding. It doesn't get plus 2k. That's a Gabriel skill. I'm sorry. And next we got 2 copies of Dosage Celestial Asphodel. Asphodel is the mate from Malkadale, and it has really good skill, a lot of pressure. When it hits the Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, put it into the damage zone, call something else that's face-up, not named herself. And so you get a nice 4th attack, possible 5th if you already did a Harut turn. So it's good pressure cards. And next we got 2 copies of Candle Celestial Sariel. Sariel is kind of like your setup. We only want her at 2 because she is an AK, but I mean, we do have 1000 Ray Pegasus in here, so that you don't have to mind running at AK. And so she kind of sets up your damage zone also, just the way you want it. You want to get the Malkadale in there so you can get some skills off, or you want to get a PG in there in case you want to swap stuff out, bounce it to your hand. So that's pretty neat. Moving on to our grade 1s, we got 4 copies of Black Record Israfel, the unflipping perfect guard for Angel Feather. This is kind of a counterblast heavy deck, considering that we have a few cards that do counterblast, especially Gabrielle. And so unflipping damage is very useful in this deck. And next we got 4 copies of Black Call Nakir, the Stride Fodder for Angel Feather. This is a stride-oriented deck, so you do want to stride a lot, like I always say, and that's why we run 4 Stride Fodders. And next we run 4 copies of 1000 Ray Pegasus, the generic original Angel Feather. When you take a damage or something gets put into the damage zone, it gets plus 2k until end of turn. And it's a Vanguard or rearguard skill, so if people try to rush you when you're at grade 1, take the first damage. It's going to be harder for them to hit without having something unboosted. So that's pretty neat. And you can set up some really nice plays with your strides like Raziel and anything else that cycles your damage zone cards from either to and from it. And then 2 copies of Battlekeep and No Seal, just for the ability to swap out cards during your guarding step and possibly get the PG from the damage zone, etc., etc., extra shield. So that's always neat. And moving on to our triggers, we got 8 crits, 4 of them being critical hit Angel, just for that soul and column fixer. 4 draw, and 4 heal. Pretty standard, very aggressive. And for our starter, we're running Hopechild Turiel. Turiel is a generic card swapper from your hand into the damage zone. So I think it's pretty good just because you can get anything you want. It's not Generation Break specific, unlike, what's her name? The Black Candle. It's the new one. I can't remember her name right now, I'm sorry. But anyways, we run Turiel over her just because you can do it early in the game, just in case you're afraid of Link Joker locking her down, or Kagero killing her off, or anything else that retires units, like, what's his name? Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss. Hate that guy. He's too good. So that's why we run Turiel. And moving on to our G zone, we got one copy of Holy Seraph Uriel. Uriel is a nice on-pressure card just because the on-hit can enable you a 4th attack, or extra cards that you don't have to call from your hand. So that's always neat. 2 copies of Holy Seraph Raziel. Raziel is kind of like the game finisher because when he's placed on Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 2 and basically recycle your entire damage zone. So you put your you put your entire damage zone back into your deck, and then for each card that you sent back, you add it to your damage zone. So if you have 5, you're gonna place 5 new cards, and think about having Broken Heart on the field as well as your Thousand Ray Pegasus. They're going to be hitting for at least 10k plus because they get plus 10k power. Really big numbers. And then we got 2 copies of Snow Element Blizza. I'm sorry, can't count. 1 copy, Snow Element Blizza. And that Blizza is just there to get us our Generation Break off, as well as a late game finisher, just because Gabriel's Generation Break is too good, considering that you can power up while taking damage, makes it a lot easier to guard. And then of course our boss that we were all very surprised that we got 4 copies of Holy Seraph Raphael. It's just a free heal. If it Generation Break 2, you can unflip a copy of itself and choose a card from your damage zone and heal it. Doesn't even have to be face up, so you get to unflip and also heal damage. It's crazy good. And that is pretty much it on the deck profile, guys. Let us know what you guys thought of it and check out our other videos. And we got a lot more stuff coming from set 4, guys. So like I always say, like our videos, comment below if you have any questions about the deck profile, and subscribe if you guys want to see some more. Vanguard Central, out.